Bates? Here. Bates here. Bell? Hill? Here. Hill here. McGuire? Here. McGuire here. Mendoza? Nielsen?
Thank you. We have a quorum. Members, we have 16 bills to hear today. 7 of those measures will be eligible for a vote, and all of the remaining bills are suspense items. We will start off with several bills related to firearms, a special order of business. While these 5 measures meet the criteria for suspense, we plan to consider motions to send them directly to the Senate floor as we have the previous package of firearm bills. I'd like to remind our assembly members and audience to limit the testimony to fiscal aspects of the bill and refrain from lengthy policy discussions, as all these bills already had a policy hearing. And if sergeants can please call our absent committee members and authors so that we can get started.
Is it appropriate to make a substitute motion at the moment, or should we wait till we have quorum?
We have quorum now.
Okay, then I would like to move the special order of business items AB 1664, 1673, 1674, 1695, and 2607. Those are all assembly bills under special order of business, have to do with firearms, and they all meet the criteria for moving to suspense for evaluation, and I'd like to make that motion.
Madam Vice Chair, I'll definitely take your substitute motions, but can we do them individually for each? I don't think we could do them
as a group.
As a group?
I just didn't want to, each bill go through that, so.
Yeah, but I don't think our rules allow for that, but we can do each one. That's perfectly fine.
Well, then I will make the motion to send to suspense, and you can
absolutely
deal with it quickly.
Yes.
I don't expect a second from you. What the heck?
Thank you. Again, members, we're going to begin with our special order of business, beginning it's hard to see with the chair right there. First, we have, members, our first item, AB 1664 by Assemblymember Levine. Assemblymember Levine, please come forward. And my understanding is you're also presenting AB 2607 by Assemblymember Ting. Is that correct?
Fortunately, Assemblymember Ting was able to be here.
Perfect.
So he'll be presenting that bill.
Okay, so let's dispense with your item, AB 1664. But before you begin, there is a motion by our Vice Chairwoman to move this item. We have to hear them. Got it. I'm just trying to be expeditious here. Why don't you begin with your item, Mr. Member?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members. I'd like to start out by accepting technical amendments that specify contingent enactment with SB 880 Hall. AB 1664 closes a dangerous gap in California's assault weapons ban. Specifically, the bill amends the definition of an assault weapon to include weapons equipped with a bullet button that allows for easily changeable magazines. The bill also has a grandfather provision that allows current lawful owners of assault weapons enabled with bullet buttons to maintain their firearms. Costs associated with this bill will be offset by fees. The bill authorizes DOJ to charge a fee of up to $15 per person. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
My name is Amanda Wilcox. I'm here on behalf of the 27 chapters of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, the California chapters. I'm a volunteer advocate. I feel like I've been down here every week this spring because I care so much gun violence, and I know the tragedy of it. I will try and limit my comments to the financial aspects, and my first statement can apply to all the bills, so I will not repeat them.
We want to make sure you actually limit your testimony.
Right. So just to point out that in 2012, $229 billion was the estimated aggregate annual cost of firearm violence in our nation. And here in California, the estimated aggregate annual cost is $20 billion a year, with nearly 4,000 hospitalizations and over 4,000 emergency department visits for firearm injuries. My community in Nevada County had a rampage shooting, and I know full well the costs. Every law enforcement officer was pulled back to work. Every ER provider, doctor, nurses were called in, DOJ agents were called, the Victim Assistance Bureau was overwhelmed, the criminal justice system, we had a lengthy trial. The gunman has a penal commitment to Napa State Hospital at a big cost to the state. The restaurant where one of the scenes of the shooting closed, and it goes on. And that's not even to mention the personal cost. My daughter was killed in that shooting. She was shot 4 times at point-blank range. I would give anything, all the money in the world, to get her back. So I just want that context. In terms of, for all the bills, in terms of this bill, most of it's fee-supported, and I believe firearm owners will just switch to buying featureless rifles with exchangeable magazines, and there will not be a big drop in sales tax revenue. Urge your support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support.
Sylvia Solisha on behalf of the City of Santa Monica and on behalf of City of Los Angeles, City Attorney Mike Fuhrer, also in strong support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Craig DeLuz with the Firearms Policy Coalition. Aside from the obvious policy concerns that we have relating to this issue is fiscally our large concern is relating to, number one, the lost and significant sales tax revenue to the state of California. In addition, the cost for the Department of Justice to have to create new forms, to have to create new databases and information that's going to be needed in order to be able to register a lot of these firearms. There are untold numbers of these, and currently, right now, we don't know how exactly they're going to be able to handle the workload. It's also noted in the analysis that currently DROS is not enough to, well, while at one point it was enough to handle what it was actually meant to do, heaping these additional costs upon it, it's been noted in the analysis that it is not going to be sufficient to do everything that all of these bills are proposed to do. Is for these and many other reasons that we oppose this measure.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the record, Dan Reed here on behalf of the National Rifle Association, also opposing for California Rifle and Pistol Association and Gun Owners of California. I think Mr. DeLuz did a nice job of summarizing it. We have a DROS count that's upside down. We're using millions of dollars. And again, these are suspense file eligible, and we're rushing them through the process. And I have major concerns with that, and for that, we're in opposition. Thanks.
Good morning, Kathy Lynch, representing the National Shooting Sports Foundation, Safari Club International, Outdoor Sportsmen's Coalition, California Sportsmen's Lobby. We're in strong opposition to this bill. A couple of points. The long gun registration went into effect in 2014 in California as a major bill. There's been no review of the database of the Department of Justice since that time. The country of Canada had 15 years experience with long gun registration and had to abandon it due to litigation, a lot of problems with their database, and you're talking about adding yet other workload programs. We've all been engaged in the APP program, which the Department of Justice, I think it's fair to say, has been struggling with since 2012 in terms of getting firearms out of the hands of criminals. And you need to consider the pile-on workload here of the Department of Justice, who can't manage getting firearms out of the hands of criminals, and now we're going to make criminals out of citizens. So we oppose it for all the policy reasons, the fiscal reasons. This bill belongs on the suspense calendar.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition. Finance.
Chris Leaf, Department of Finance. We have no file.
No file. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Nielsen.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would make a point that this really should be put on suspense. And it is an irony that these bills are being so fast-tracked. The public has not had ample opportunity. The physical content of these bills for the public to review, as far as I know, has barely been out, even today. That's not, for issues of such great magnitude to the people of the state of California, that's not open government. That's closed and covert government. And I don't think that's doing justice to the people of the state of California. We ought not be doing the people's business in this manner. There is no cause to rush these bills through. And there is an irony here in a number of the bills. While in California over the last several years, the true criminals are being released into society for various reasons. We argue about it here a lot, but we can go to AB 109, Prop 36, Prop 47. And bad things are happening in our communities, attributable to that population. Instead of dealing with some of that and correcting the error of those ways, now we are taking a whole population of law-abiding citizens and criminalizing them. To me, that makes no sense.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen. Just to reiterate, the bills have been in print for a week in its current form and have also received a full policy hearing, but I do respect your comments. And I know our Vice Chairwoman wants to make a motion to move AB 1664 to the suspense file. The Chairman is asking for a no vote. The Vice Chairwoman is asking for an aye vote. Is there a second on your motion? So we don't need a second? Perfect. Okay. Before we take the vote on the substitute motion, Senator Levine, would you like to close?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On your clarifying comments about the transparency and process that this bill followed, like all of the bills, first in print in February, the last substantive amendments taken before policy committees, the most recent one adding a co-author and creating the contingent in action. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Again, the first motion that's in order is a substitute motion. Again, Vice Chairwoman is asking for an aye vote. I'm asking for no vote. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
No.
Laura, no. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, aye. Bell? Bell, no. Hill? Hill, no. McGuire? McGuire, no. Mendoza? Mendoza, no. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
Motion fails. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to do pass as amended to the Senate floor. Moved by Senator Hill. It's Monday. Okay, so there is a motion to do pass as amended to the Senate floor, moved by Senator Hill. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
Aye.
Aye. Bates? No. Bates, no. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. McGuire? McGuire, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, no.
5-2, that item is out.
Thank you, Senators.
Next, we have AB 1673 by Senator Gibson. You may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and Senators. Thank you for allowing me to present Assembly Bill 1673, which seeks to expand the definition of a firearm to include an incomplete lower receiver or receiver blank. Currently, there are tens of thousands of receiver blanks that facilitate the underground firearm black market. We have no idea how many are in circulation and how many are being sold to criminals and those who are prohibited from possessing them. If we do not stop this problem now, we will not be able to stop it in the future. The Legislative Analyst Office has estimated a cost of $737,000 for each unsolved murder. This bill will cost a total of $562,000 over 6 years, but the savings of the state in lives and dollars will be far greater. I respectfully ask this committee for an aye vote.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
Amanda Wilcox on behalf of the California chapters of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence, and I just stand by my previous comments, will not repeat them. Needless to say, there's a taxpayer cost to gun violence as well as the emotional cost of loss of life to families and communities. In terms of this bill, a one-time estimated cost for developing the systems with DOJ to implement this bill, one-time costs I always find less troubling than ongoing costs. In terms of apps enforcement, I know the DOJ is continually evaluating who they consider to be at most risk of violence, and those are the people that they try to disarm first. And so the people in apps has resolved this bill would be part of that pool, and again, the most violent disarmed, and that's something we strongly support. I urge or I vote this problem needs to be dealt with.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support.
Sylvia Solisha on behalf of the City of Santa Monica in strong support.
Mr. Chair and Senators, Kobe Pizzati, I'm just an individual lobbyist here in Sacramento. I'm not representing any clients in support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition, please come forward.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Craig DeLuz on behalf of the Firearms Policy Coalition. I come before you today not so much to address the policy concerns, but to understand that the policy concerns, or the vagueness in particular of this policy, is going to have significant financial impact on the state of California. Your own analysis, as recognized by the Public Safety Committee analysis, notes that this particular language in this bill is void for vagueness. And what is at odds here is, at what point something like this actually becomes a firearm, becomes clearly identifiable as a firearm. Numerous firearms experts, we've talked to everybody up and down the state of California, and no one can tell us at what point this block becomes a firearm and thus needs to be registered, thus needs to be have a serial number added to it. Possession of it, if you are a prohibited person, would become a crime. If you carry it in your bag concealed, then that you are then also committing a crime. A 10-day waiting period. All of these things that are in place. All of these are new crimes, new potential crimes that are going to be committed by otherwise law-abiding citizens, thus increasing the overall court costs. Because I'm going to assume that there's at least one or more members of law enforcement who are going to take the position of, well, gee, I'm not sure. Let's take them into custody and we'll let the court system sort it out. And I believe that's why, even though normally litigation is a common thing that's recognized as a potential of any particular piece of legislation, your own analysis here recognizes that as a concern. That at what point does this piece of sheet metal, once again, become clearly identifiable as a firearm? The number of people that are going to be arrested, have their rights taken away or stripped from them while they are detained by law enforcement, while somebody tries to find the answer to the question that is not answered in this bill. It is for these and many, many other reasons that we oppose this measure.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the record, Dan Reed with National Rifle Association. We're in opposition to this bill. We're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars limiting the rights of law-abiding citizens for something that is, as you can see, clearly vague and ambiguous. There's a number of policy issues, obviously, that we can't get into today, but this is a poor use of funds, and that we stand in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Kathy Lynch, representing the National Shooting Sports Foundation, Spy Club International Outdoor Sportsmen's Coalition, and Crossroads of the West gun shows, where obviously many citizens go to partake of their activities. And the definition is a serious problem. The ATF recognizes the Gun Control Act of 1968 for definition, and you're running contrary to that, so you can see the problems that you're creating. And I think Mr. DeLuz laid it out very, very clearly. This violates your own public safety calendar and the direction that you want to go with crime and punishment. Again, you're making citizens criminals. And while it may meet the the intent of transparency. It doesn't meet the spirit of transparency, and it certainly doesn't meet the rules of this committee. This bill belongs on suspense. The process is being rushed, and if this is the attempt to try to override initiatives, this is not the vision that the public had in mind. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance. Oh, I'm sorry. Additional witnesses in opposition.
Yes, sir, thank you. Roy Griffith on behalf of the California Rifle and Pistol Association. We're in opposition.
Thank you. Finance.
We don't have an approved position on the bill, but we note that DOJ indicates the bill would cost approximately $550,000 over 3 years. This would be partially for overtime costs to perform the necessary analysis, development, testing, and implementation of provisions outlined in the bill. In addition, external consultants would be needed to assist with development of a software project. We note that the dealer record of sale special account fund balance has been substantially depleted to address the armed prohibited persons system backlog, and as a result, the DROS could not support additional expenditures without a new revenue source. Absent a sufficient fee increase to support these expenditures, an appropriation from another source, possibly the general fund, would be required to support the activities resulting from the bill. Lastly, any local government costs resulting from the mandate in this measure would not be state reimbursable because the mandate only involves the definition of a crime or the penalty for conviction of a crime.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Bates.
I'd like to move this bill to suspense, and I think that the cost based on the commentary with regards to its broad-ranging definition of who's possessing an illegal piece of a weapon is so broad-reaching. I think these costs are way underestimated. So I would like to make a motion that it go to suspense for a better evaluation.
Thank you. There is a motion, but before we entertain that motion, we'll let Senator Gibson close.
Thank you very much. I certainly believe that based on the lives that will be saved as a result of this particular bill will far exceed those of which the legislative analyst has projected. It's about saving lives, and I think this is the right opportunity to do just that, save lives, get illegal guns off our streets, and I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. The current motion before us, members, is to move to suspense. The chairman is asking for a no vote. The vice chairwoman is asking for an aye vote. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
No.
Laura, no. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, aye. Bell? Bell, no. Hill? No. Hill, no. McGuire? No. McGuire, no. Mendoza? No. Mendoza, no. Nielsen? Nielsen, aye.
That motion fails. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for a due pass to the Senate floor. It's moved by Senator Mike McGuire. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates?
No.
Bates, no. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Aye. Hill, aye. McGuire? Aye. McGuire, aye. Mendoza? Aye. Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? No. Nielsen, no.
5-2, that measure is out. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you very much.
Before we proceed, I want to elaborate on a previous point I made. The committee analysis were not posted. Now, that'd be the committee analysis related to today's fiscal analysis. We're not public posted until today. That was the point I was trying to make earlier if I did not make it clear. Then my point is to the public in terms of reviewing the fiscal analysis, they did not have access to that until this very day.
Thank you, Senator Nielsen, or Senator Nielsen, apologize. Next, we have AB 1674. Senator Santiago, please come forward. Please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Mr. Chair, would you also allow me to present a bill on behalf of Mr. Bonta next?
You're presenting 1695 as well?
Correct, sir.
Great. Let's begin with your item first.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. AB 1674 would limit the amount of firearms per one firearm per person. The reason we decided to do this, if you take a look at the way the law is now, you can only buy one handgun per month per person, but it is silent when it comes to long guns. So somebody can walk in and buy hundreds of long guns. And in fact, in 2014, April, somebody walked in and bought 177 long guns. We want to bring parity to the law and allow for the purchasing of only one firearm per person per month. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one witness who will be brief in comments.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
Amanda Wilcox on behalf of the California chapters of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence. The one-time costs of about $350,000 I consider to be a very acceptable price in light of what this bill can do to deter trafficking of illegal guns that take such a tragic toll in our communities. I want to focus on the sales tax revenue piece of the analysis. We did a Public Record Act request with the Department of Justice, and about 82% of long gun purchasers are one gun a month, one gun in a 30-day period. So most people are not impacted by this bill, which is a good thing. And moreover, the state will not be losing sales tax, much sales tax revenue for this bill. Most people do not buy a lot of guns at once. Those that do, and one individual bought 177 guns in 1 month, are presumably and most likely trafficking those guns into the illegal market. In fact, those are all lower receivers that very possibly were built up in assault weapons and trafficked. So we're targeting a few traffickers with this bill, but the bulk of gun buyers are not impacted, and therefore there's not a big loss in revenue of sales tax. We urge your support.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support.
Sylvia Solisha on behalf of Los Angeles City Attorney Mike Fuhrer and on behalf of the City of Santa Monica in strong support.
Hello again, Mr. Chair and Senators. Again, Kobe Pizzotti, just representing myself and not any clients in support.
Thank you. Witnesses in opposition, please come forward.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Kathy Lynch, representing the National Shooting Sports Foundation, Safari Club International, Outdoor Sportsmen's Coalition, California Sportsmen's Lobby, in strong opposition to this bill. This bill's, anti-business. Let's get right to it. We don't limit one car per month because somebody, had a car accident. It was interesting to me that the supporters seem to know the patterns of people's purchasing. This really impacts hunters and sportsmen who frequently do buy more than one gun a month. And again, you're talking about legal sales of firearms. The only trafficking I know of was done by our own government in Fast and Furious. So I think this is a ridiculous bill. It does nothing to help with the crime problem. And it was, in fact, a dealer that drew attention in Orlando. It was, in fact, a dealer who turned in Fast and Furious. So the dealers and the business side of this are doing their part. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for the record, Dan Reed with National Rifle Association, also with Gun Owners of California today, and we're in strong opposition to this bill. As Ms. Lynch summarized very nicely, I echo what she said. And also the real impact, aside from the costs that are mentioned here, is on the law-abiding, on the new hunter who wants a rifle and a shotgun, who might be losing out on seasons. On the competition shooter, it might take 3 months to get involved, not to mention the extra costs of background checks for rightfully going through the process, for the numerous trips, et cetera. So, this is really aimed at law-abiding citizens, and with that, we stand in opposition. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Craig DeLuz with the Firearms Policy Coalition. Our concerns are numerous, one of which has to do with the author tried to address the issue of someone who might be inheriting a collection of firearms. The challenge is that, number one, the individual has to be named. In other words, they specifically have to be the one named. So if they're simply, maybe a child wasn't mentioned in the in the will, if their name was not specifically mentioned as the one inheriting it, they would not be able to inherit it except one gun every month. Then the other concern is that, so once the person who is named actually inherits it, and then they go to dispose of it, because maybe they don't want firearms. The concern is now that they are either going to have to, say, a collection of 50 guns. They're going to have to either find 50 different buyers, or it's going to take 50 different trips to the gun store or to the gun store in order to be able to sell each of these, or that individual is going to be forced to sell it at a significant loss to a dealer. And then I think an even greater tragedy just has to do with, once again, the rationing of a civil right. We don't put limits on how often someone can go to church, how often someone can write their legislator. Why we are limiting a constitutional right, or rationing a constitutional right, once we start with this one, you can be sure that more will be next.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition.
Morning, sir. Thank you. Roy Griffith on behalf of the California Rifle and Pistol Association. We stand in opposition.
Thank you. Finance.
We have no position, but we know this bill would have one-time costs of approximately $350,000 dealer record of sale account. I'll refer back to my earlier comments on the state of that fund. By expanding an existing misdemeanor, this bill may have an impact on the county jail population. We also note that any local government costs resulting from the mandate in this bill would not be state reimbursable because the mandate only involves the definition of a crime or the penalty for conviction of a crime. Lastly, we note this measure could impose new costs and workload on counties, which creates additional fiscal pressure on the local criminal justice system.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Nielsen.
May I ask the author?
Absolutely.
Assemblyman, what specific substantiated evidence do we have that would indicate that this figure is not just arbitrary, picked it out of the sky, 1 in 30, and that it will absolutely stop individuals who are of a criminal mind and with criminal intent from having access to a weapon?
First, I'd like to ask the chair if it's okay to dive into a policy conversation. Understand that this is a fiscal policy, so I want to be respectful of the chair.
Yeah.
Look, we're going to have a philosophical difference on guns, and that's just a fact. You're going to represent a different position than I am, and we're never going to get to the core of that, or I'm not going to change your mind, you're not going to change my mind. But I would like to note that when it comes to the conversation on guns, we have seen in mass shootings over the last 3 decades an increase of long guns being used. And at the end of the day, look, when somebody purchases a large amount of guns, they end up on our streets and they end up in our neighborhoods. And so we're going to have a very different perspective on that. I'd love to engage in a policy conversation with you. I'd love to schedule that, but I'd like to continue this conversation on a fiscal policy review like we're as intended. I do want to address the question of hunters. It's come up several times. Over and over and over, we've said that this does not do anything to currently respect the rights that hunters currently have. I'm not changing any of that. We're only talking about the purchasing of them. But to make it clear, in an abundance of caution, we're going to include some language to ensure that that's detailed. In the search for better public policy, we're also going to include auctions, raffles, and fundraisers, because that's come up in the past, and we are searching for a way to make this a good, comprehensive policy. So thank you for your question.
Will that amendment be made between now and the floor then?
I believe we're searching for that, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Additional comments or questions?
Move it to suspense.
There's a motion to move this item to suspense. The chair is asking for a no vote. The vice chairwoman is asking for an aye vote. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
No.
Laura, no. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, aye. Bell? No. Bell, no. Hill? No. Hill, no. McGuire? McGuire, no. Mendoza? No. Mendoza, no. Nielsen? Aye. Nielsen, aye.
2 to 5, that measure fails. At this point, I'll entertain a motion for due pass recommendation to the Senate floor. Moved by Senator Mendoza. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates?
No.
Bates, no. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Aye. Hill, aye. McGuire? Aye. McGuire, I. Mendoza. Mendoza, I. Nielsen. Nielsen, no.
5-2, that item is out. Moving on to AB 1695 by Assembler Bonta. Assembler Santiago will be presenting. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. AB 1695 seeks to address straw purchases by cracking down on false reporting of guns as lost or stolen. Specifically, AB 1695 makes a deliberate filing of false reports with an intent to deceive that a gun has been lost or stolen a misdemeanor and would prohibit that person from owning a firearm for 10 years. Per the committee's analysis, this bill may only incur minimal cost from the Department of Justice. Mr. Chair, I have a witness who will also be brief, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Witnesses in support.
Amanda Wilcox on behalf of the California chapters of the Brady Campaign to Prevent Gun Violence. So the goal of this bill is to identify and hold straw buyers accountable, to be able to prosecute straw buyers to the extent that we can deter straw buyers and illegal guns and lives saved. Clearly the cost to the state is reduced. And my prior comments still stand on regarding the cost to taxpayers and families. And regarding the APPS program, as I said earlier, the DOJ is continually prioritizing who is most at risk of violent acts and therefore should be a priority to disarm. And these individuals that fall into APPS because of this bill would be in that pool and disarmed accordingly. Obviously, that's an important benefit to public safety. I vote.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in support. Witnesses in opposition, please come. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, Roy Griffith, speaking on behalf of the California Rifle and Pistol Association. Our opposition on this bill in particular is there's already a section on the books, Penal Code Section 148, that makes it a crime to file a false report. Having been a peace officer for 32 years, the last thing we need is yet another code in the books that does the same thing. So because of duplication and confusion and again, victimizing the victim and pointing this just towards lawful citizens, we strongly oppose this measure. Thank you.
Good morning, Kathy Lynch, representing the National Shooting Sports Foundation, Outdoor Sportsmen's Coalition of California, California Sportsmen's Lobby, and Safari Club International in strong opposition to this bill. As the prior witness indicated, we already have laws on the books on straw purchases that are quite strong. I think we all know that the Law Review Commission undertook a rewrite of the Penal Code a few years ago because of the voluminous complexity of the Penal Code. In fact, law enforcement struggles with trying to interpret the firearms division. And now we're going to, let's be clear, this is about taking nonviolent misdemeanors for the first time and taking away your right to own a firearm for 10 years. This will be stronger than most of the people you're letting out of a jail and prison right now. So again, for this and all the other reasons, I think the impact on the DROS account has been noted by finance, and that this is, in essence, all these bills moving is a tax increase. So let's be clear about what it's doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Craig DeLuz on behalf of the Firearms Policy Coalition is, for the reasons that my colleagues have already stated, we are in opposition. Additionally, it is only in the California legislature where, hearings that allow two witnesses 2 minutes to be able to communicate on a particular policy issue is considered a full policy hearing. The reality is that these measures, all of them that have come forth, including this one, are severely deficient. We understand what the author is trying to do, but once again, the measure is severely deficient. I think as we go forward, if this is the way in which we are going to conduct policy, in particular when it comes to policy that is going to affect a constitutionally enumerated civil right, this is the first one. And when the First Amendment comes, when the right against illegal search and seizure comes up, or to have government soldiers quartered in your home, when all of these come forward, I just want you to think back and I want you to remember this day and how you enacted this policy, especially considering the fact that we all know that the decision's already been made. So we oppose this measure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Additional witnesses in opposition.
Mr. Chairman, for the record, Dan Reed with National Rifle Association and Gun Owners of California. I echo what my colleague said at the dais for restricting a constitutional right based on a misdemeanor crime, and with that, we're in opposition. Thank you.
Thank you. Finance.
We have no position, but note this bill may have an impact on the county jail population. We also note any local government costs resulting from the mandate in this measure would not be state reimbursable because the mandate only involves the definition of a crime or penalty for conviction of a crime. However, we note this measure could impose new costs and workload on counties, which could create additional fiscal pressure on the local criminal justice system.
Thank you. Comments or questions from committee? Senator Nielsen?
Mr. Chairman, is there anyone out there from the Department of Justice yet? Anyone from the Department of Justice in the audience?
There was earlier. I know I saw the gentleman. Is there anyone from the Department of Justice?
I wanted to ask a question about the apps database.
I know he was here earlier. I saw him. I don't think he's here any longer, Senator.
We'll ask him a question. Maybe we can get it before the floor.
Thank you.
I have a comment.
Senator Bates.
I would like this move to.
The gentleman has just come into the room. Could that gentleman come forward from the Department of Justice? Sir, in dealing with your apps database, how do you prioritize? What is your criteria, your basis for working with your database?
Sure, absolutely. So within the apps database, we have a number of experts within the Bureau of Firearms that look at a number of different factors. Obviously, based on the qualifying disqualification that occurred, whether or not it's a mental health issue or a certain crime, we'll look at the proclivity toward violence or the likelihood of using those firearms for a future crime.
Does that mean as applicable to the individual, based on your review of their criminal history?
As part of an investigation, we will prioritize certain groups on the apps database based on the likelihood that they will use the gun in commission of a violent act.
And is that based on locality or criminal history?
The Bureau of, I'm not particularly aware of the exact inner workings of the Bureau of Firearms. I'm also hesitant, obviously, to provide too much insight into the investigatory, conduct that goes on by our agents. But it is largely based on making sure that with the limited resources that we have, we are getting at the most at-risk individuals who are on the apps database.
Then it's fair to say that there are individuals in society who are more likely to use a gun for nefarious purposes than others, correct?
That's a philosophical point that I don't.
Well, that seems to be the undergirding point that you're making, that you try to determine those most likely to use the gun, not just have the gun for a recreational or a hunting purpose or a collecting purpose, correct?
Ideally, every individual on the apps database should, for a variety of public policy reasons, not possess a firearm. And the reason we're forced to prioritize is because traditionally the apps database enforcement mechanism has been underfunded.
And these are the felons then, correct, that have been convicted?
That is one of the ways that one can wind up on the apps database.
All right.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Senator Bates.
Yes, sir. In your response to Senator Nielsen, you mentioned your limited, quote-unquote, resources. You have a spate of gun bills coming forward from both Senate and Assembly. Have you any comment on, in terms of what sort of pressures, impacts it's going to be on you as you exist today with what's available in terms of staffing and fiscal resources? And these apply across the, across all of the individual agencies and, let's say, courts, whatever, with all these coming forward that with, many for you to be involved with. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, obviously, as all of the legislation that's moving through the House right now is being considered, we are continuing to look at the effect that that could possibly have on our existing enforcement efforts. At this time, obviously, we have no idea of knowing exactly how many additional individuals will be placed onto apps. We can speculate, but thankfully, this legislature has certainly not spared us opportunities to present the status of our apps database enforcement efforts, and that's something we would continue to do as circumstances change, whether it's related to this legislation or related to other factors.
Well, let me say with the noble cause that certainly lies in the motivation for these, no question. You know, gun violence and people dying, and this is a little policy comment, we all are concerned, but they are going in so many different directions. It would be my hope the Department of Justice would weigh in on where we're getting the best, excuse the term, bang for our buck, because these things are, in my mind, just overwhelming in terms of what we're asking a particular agency to do. And number two, and this is to the author, but Mr. Bontas, Assemblymember Bontas not here, it is very, I think the most egregious part of this bill, which will eventually show up in a cost, is to take the constitutional rights that are generally restricted to felons. We're applying those to a misdemeanor. 10 years is a felony punishment, not a misdemeanor punishment. And I'd like to point out that Senator Jackson's bill really deals specifically with calling out things in terms of these stolen or, transferred guns illegally, infractions, and the costs associated with accordingly. So that's something the author should take a look at, because putting a 10-year penalty that this department has to follow for 10 years to ensure that that person doesn't get another gun and put it in every single database out there seems a real overreach, very costly. And policy-wise, it's egregious to abridge somebody's rights because they happen to have made a mistake. Whatever happens in our life, sometimes those things are not commissions, they're omissions. So hopefully you'll think about that.
Thank you,
I'd like
Senator
to move
Bates.
it to suspense, please.
There is a motion by Senator Bates. Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Bell has a question.
Based on my work with our local law enforcement agencies, when I looked at this bill, this is a misdemeanor to report to a local law enforcement agency that a firearm has been lost or stolen, knowing the report to be false, knowing the report to be. Now, why would somebody do that? Well, probably because they're trying to deceive the local law enforcement for some reason, most likely because they're criminals and they committed crimes and they want to deceive the local law enforcement agencies. And for example, even though this is a misdemeanor, I think we have to realize that often these kinds of misdemeanors where they're lying to somebody about a gun because they want to avoid other charges, having a gun, because, if you have a gun, you commit a crime, it's a more serious offense. They're trying to hide that fact or deceive the local law enforcement agency when asked those questions. So I think this is a help to get the truth out of people when they're interviewed by local law enforcement agency, and I fully support this bill.
Thank you. There is a motion before us that is before us. We will take that motion as soon as Assemblymember Santiago closes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And the senator from San Jose really took the words out of my mouth, because when I was thinking about presenting for this or not presenting, I wouldn't present for a bill that I didn't believe in. And I thought about it this way. You lie to me, it's one thing. That's fine. I don't carry a badge. Not law enforcement. But you deliberately lie and deceit law enforcement. What else would you not be willing to do? And for that reason, I decided to present on this. I respectfully ask for an aye vote.
Thank you. Once again, the motion before us is to move to suspense. The chairman is asking for a no vote. The vice chairwoman is asking for an aye vote. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura?
No.
Laura, no. Bates?
Aye.
Bates, aye. Bell? No. Bell, no. Hill? No. Hill, no. McGuire? No. McGuire, no. Mendoza? No. Mendoza, no. Nielsen? Aye. Nielsen, aye.
2 to 5, that motion fails. At this point, I'll entertain a motion, a do pass recommendation to the Senate floor. Moved by Senator Hill. Secretary, please call the roll.
Laura? Laura?
Aye.
Laura, aye. Bates? No. Bates, no. Bell? Bell, aye. Hill? Hill, aye. McGuire? McGuire, aye. Mendoza? Mendoza, aye. Nielsen? Nielsen, no.
5-2, that item is out. Thank you, Mr. Santiago. Appreciate your time. Next, the last item we have in special order of business members is AB 2607 by Member Ting.